You're listening to Raiding the Fringe with Poda, Ostinius, Nehpets, and Dr. Lee. From ancient civilizations to the cutting edge of science, from exploring the outer reaches of space to the Atlantean depths, we discuss the topics of the unknown and the possibilities of the bizarre. Are you hungry to expand your horizons? Come get your fill as we raid the fringe.
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Raiding the Fringe. Today we have a special treat for all you fans out there. We are going to call this segment Questions with Poda. Of course, you have Dr. Lee.
Yeah, that's me.
You have, Sir Ostinius.
Hello.
And you have, of course, me, Nehpets. Since the segment is called Questions with Poda, Poda is going to give us questions, and we are going to try our best to answer them or to incite conversations of any way that we can. So, take it away.
All right. What if the consistency of what we understand of water, with the liquid, the solid, and the vapor, what if the liquid consistency was more sticky, be it like honey?
More viscous.
Not just viscous, but sticky as well.
Also.
Well, that would be kind of crazy because then you would think, well, how would it affect in the gas state of it being sticky? Would it
Yeah,
be kind
you
of
said
like
solid and gas and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, man, yeah.
Well,
like if
it
it's
was
frozen?
solid, yeah, it wouldn't be sticky anymore.
Are you sure?
But would it be, like, gelatinous almost? Would it be spongy?
Well, how solid could a sticky thing get?
I don't know. Could you freeze honey? Honey
Yeah.
doesn't freeze. Can you freeze honey? Oh.
I don't know.
It makes it like a candy.
Molten
I don't know, that's
candy
weird.
comes out as liquid and then it gets solid, but that's not water.
Well, I mean, in this fictional sticky water, who's to say it doesn't become ice, and maybe the ice is less slick? Maybe the ice has a consistency more like
Ooh.
concrete.
Yeah, like you wouldn't slip as much.
Has its
yeah.
own kind of texture to it.
Yeah.
I would say it would suck.
But you wouldn't say that if you lived your whole life.
Everybody
and it's
would
always
be
been this way.
very dirty. Gum wrappers and hairs just
Although,
stuck
what
all
happens
over your
if,
body no matter
You know,
what.
the cultural appropriation of if you got more stuff sticking to you, the cleaner you are because you're washing with water.
We wouldn't wash with water anymore. We'd wash with oil because oil would take off the
Oh,
sticky.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I think if it would be like that for us, it would be like that for everything. Like plants would be different. Our skin would secrete, I don't know, probably more oily kind of stuff to...
That would also change the output of like what oxygen and hydrogen, what are they, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
'Cause that's all water is just oxygen and hydrogen. So then that would change completely the elemental state of it.
Oh, yeah. You stir hydrogen peroxide into your tea to make it sweeter.
It'd be weird.
Excuse me?
Hydrogen peroxide is H2O2.
Okay.
So if we're changing the properties of hydrogen and oxygen, the way they react to each other, if water is sticky, then I postulate that hydrogen peroxide would be sweet.
Would it be... I mean, you can't right now just drink hydrogen peroxide.
Nope.
Well,
You
technically,
can't stick water to a wall either.
You
I
got me
could
there.
spray the wall with water and it'll be wet.
Yeah, but you couldn't stick it.
That water would stick to the wall. It would be wet.
I thought water runs down walls.
Depends on what it's made out of. If it's an absorbent material or...
I thought we just reiterated
You
what
know-
water was made out of.
I think that the significant difference between wet and sticky. Wet uses absorption. Sticky adheres without absorbing.
Okay, fair enough. I'll agree with that.
So would we be able to even drink water? Because it wouldn't absorb into our body. It would just stick onto our insides.
Well, our body breaks our foods down with acid so it can absorb it. So it probably
Yeah, but that
be
would
something
take more
similar.
energy too.
It sure would.
Yeah,
Sure would.
we as a species would look different, and all of our food that we would consume would be different. Even our biological workings would be different. We would have a new compound to break down this new thing.
At least a second
I
stoner.
like how that rhymed. Okay, what's your next thought or hypothesis?
are Komodo dragons the last living considered dragon that we know about from history that would be like when they go to slay dragons, or like the emperor in Japan whose chariot was pulled by dragons? Were they actually Komodo dragons?
Now, you see, there's a nice thing where if we wind up talking about dragons, which actually could
Be an episode.
be a full-length thing, but the the dragons of the Chinese era were all very lion-like or cat-like, as far as features goes. They often showed more fur and musculature on the arms, not so much on wings.
They're more serpentine.
Right. The Komodo dragons, which are more reptilian, more of the European version of a dragon, still no wings, I guess. But I suppose if they're the last of the dragon, I would classify those giant turtles as probably a form of dragon. It was highly underrated. It's just an armored dragon.
I would throw giant crocodiles and alligators.
Crocodiles
as
are
well.
just as the same. But like, okay, so did
Oh, dinosaurs. Were dinosaurs dragons?
Yes.
What if their wings just... Well, no, because you got pterodactyls and they see the imprint of a wing.
How about this? Okay, I have a question. I know this may sound like a stupid question, but so the Chinese, they had lions, like actual lions, correct? Like they knew what lions were, or were lions around in that? I mean, were they traded? Because I don't think lions live in that kind of.
They're in Africa.
Yeah, but did China know about lions?
Well, I'm sure there were travelers and they tell their tales. You know what I mean?
They sure as hell knew about cats.
Well, yeah. So could their version of a dragon be like they're like that's a lion, or do they have depictions of actual lions, or could the lions be a dragon and they just elongated them?
Oh,
I don't know. Back in the day, information was very scant, and so tall tales became their own.
See, that's why I was asking if they had depictions of actual lions back that far, or if lions were dragons. You know what I mean to them?
well, since they had a culture that relied heavily on cats of all sizes and shapes, even if it wasn't a lion specifically.
Well, I know they have
What I'm saying,
tigers.
Yeah, they have definitely tigers, but so I think that their dragon was based off of these creatures that can't be tamed, that are very dangerous, that run around in the wild. But
although the
wouldn't have to
idea
be
of
the
like
lion
5
itself.
Komodo dragons dragging a chariot would be kind of fun to think. But again, to domesticate those enough to actually be a beast of burden would be impossible because they're poisonous.
oh my gosh, and they're slow.
No, but they are poisonous, and their spit does have a... So if they said something, maybe it was like one of those tall tales, they spit fire. You get hit with their spit, your skin is going to burn.
Oh,
And it's not necessarily fire, but the tales have twisted it to be actual flames.
I don't know. I think that there were actually larger type of creatures back then. So when they said that this person slayed a dragon, I believe that there were some creatures out there that were big. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't think they were all like Komodo dragon size. I believe that they're pretty huge. But see, the thing with humans is we killed out every large creature.
Yeah, there were giant sloths
The only
roaming
reason
the land.
why
you
we
know what I
didn't
mean?
kill off elephants is because they probably don't taste good.
Well, and they were tameable and make great pack animals and can carry heavy loads across great distances.
Then why did we keep rhinos? They are not.
Because rhinos
tameable.
are nasty.
Yeah, but we tame bulls. I mean, granted, bulls are the last tamed animal.
But
we've
they're
ever
not
tamed.
armored.
The ivory was
rhino
too
was armored.
worthwhile. They wouldn't tame an
Oh, yeah, they
rhino
wouldn't
because
tame
they
them.
were hunted.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because they were untamable, so they might as well just kill them for the profit.
I don't even know if they're untamable. I don't think anyone's bothered trying. Because until we realized, hey, we need to stop killing them, the thing to do was kill them.
Well, I don't know, because, I mean, bulls, they're dangerous, but they needed bulls to make, the other calves and the milks and stuff like that. But it did take us a very long time to domesticate bulls.
Well, I hope you're not getting milk from a bull. That's milk.
Well, you do need a cow to get
Wash out.
pregnant to make milk, so you do need a bull, yes.
I think you just said you got milk from a bull.
You do, technically. I mean, like, in all honesty,
Inadvertently.
You do. Yes.
Inadvertently.
Because if you have a female cow, she ain't going to give you milk.
I
when
guess
she's
you could
pregnant.
say you get milk from grass then.
No, you get milk from the fetus inside the cow.
A cow doesn't have to be pregnant to produce milk.
Yeah.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Men lactate, and do they carry children inside of them? No.
Yeah, yes, I know men can lactate, but usually cows have to be
If
pregnant.
it's got nipples, you could milk it, Falca.
I know, but usually...
No, but they don't. Just like chickens will continue to lay eggs even if they're not
Yes, but they're
fertilized.
not. But that's a totally different thing. That's not feeding a child. That's like a ovulation thing. Milk isn't an ovulation thing.
Women who don't have children can still lactate.
Yes,
produce
can
milk.
still, but I mean, like,
You can be conditioned to it.
As long as a dairy cow has been pregnant once, the cow will continue producing milk as long as it is continually milked, whether it is currently pregnant or not.
So it does at least have to be pregnant.
It has to at least have been pregnant.
Yeah.
At least one time.
Which makes sense because when milkmaids did the same thing, you became a milkmaid after you had your own child, and then you went around to
Oh,
live
wet
No,
nurse.
a wet nurse.
A milkmaid
A
was somebody who
milkmaid milks
delivered.
the cows.
Hey, I love. Yeah, we'll just cut that out in editing.
We'll fix it in post.
Fix it in post. But yeah, the wet nurse. Yes, she would have to be pregnant. Cool. So dragons went to titties.
You want to milk a Komodo dragon?
I don't think that's a
Komodo milk.
I don't think that's a viable thing.
I get my milk from Komodo maid.
Yeah, reptiles don't produce milk.
Hey, if I was going
But
to
you
get,
can still milk a reptile.
I would not have a Komodo dragon pull my chariot, but I would have one of those really fast lizards that get up and walk on their hind legs like a run across water, going. Wah! Can you imagine being in a chariot, being pulled by a team of those big old fan face,
You would have to
mouth
have
wide open?
You would have to have like it would have. Poda, next
Nobody would
question.
ignore your entrance. Here he comes, that crazy emperor again. Wah!
To put a finalization on that, I do believe that the myths came from these actual creatures, but I don't necessarily believe that those creatures actually existed.
I believe that they
To
did.
actually answer the question, no. I don't
Oh,
think
that's
Komodo
fine. I
dragons
put it in the
are
statement.
the last. I don't think Komodo dragons are the last remnant of dragons. I think that Komodo dragons actually were named because they looked kind of like.
Yeah.
But everything else, there might have been other dragons in history, but I don't think any of them are related to the Komodo. Next question.
Could life exist here if we didn't have plants?
No. Next question.
The next really good thought-provoking question was to sign off.
Yeah. Could life exist here without plants? Yes, technically. I mean,
It could now.
What do you mean it could now?
I mean, are we talking about if there was a different set of circumstances where there never were plants, or like if all the plants died?
Yeah. What is that?
I was thinking along the lines of no flora at all,
Ever?
ever.
Then no.
Oh, well, then actually, yes. We probably would have.
We came from the water down. I mean, water
We'd still
bears,
have to have
they don't have
oxygen
plants around
somehow,
there.
and there is no way to create oxygen in this area. So we as a species would not be who we are, and I don't know if you can, like, I don't believe that there is any other base life form.
Well, think of it this way. If plants right now are what we use to convert and create oxygen, and plants never existed, then would that role have been filled by a different phylum, by a different type of creature, whether it's an animal or a fungus?
Yeah, they wouldn't need oxygen to live.
I thought plants were also on the impact of funguses too. Flora, fauna.
People categorize it that way, but a fungus isn't necessarily a plant.
I would think that they would more produce whatever they are producing in the ground. But if there are no plants, that means there's no grass, no algae, no nothing.
Right.
Not of what we know.
So
but
we'd be
if life
carnivores.
evolved from that first water bear and turned into a bigger creature and came out onto the land, you would still have the sunlight and you would still have other reactions. It wouldn't be life as we know it, but it could be life based off of something else.
We have examples of other planets, though, that don't have oxygen-based stuff, and they don't have any life that we can technically find.
that we know of. We also
Like I
have
said,
only ever
technically
landed
find.
on Mars. You know
There
what I mean?
could be a race of 3-foot green-skinned men that reverse breathe, and they take in carbon dioxide and breathe oxygen, that are commingling with us, and we have a split society.
Yeah, what about that, Nep?
I think that's some BS, but no, I don't think
Possible.
We have other examples of stuff that doesn't have any kind of plants or anything, and it's a barren wasteland, as much as we know now. I'm not saying that I couldn't find something.
Well,
But I believe water is the necessitator for life, not
Exactly.
oxygen. Although oxygen is in water.
Oxygen is in water. So without plants to do its version of the chemical transfer, there could be something out there that naturally separates hydrogen from oxygen at some point. There could be an abundant mineral that, the breeze passes over it and it brushes off and separates.
But isn't it plants that actually created our atmosphere and stuff like that?
No, our atmosphere existed before plants and people.
No, it's the distance from the sun and the perfect mix of whatever that made our...
Yeah, the ideal temperature, but...
I don't know, I just remember playing Spore and you had to put a bunch of plants down to stabilize the atmosphere. Not trying to base this knowledge off of a 2002 video game, but
This is a good game.
it is a good game.
very well thought out game. But yeah, I would have to say, if plants never existed, there would be some alternate method for creating oxygen for us, or B, we wouldn't need oxygen. We would have developed a need for something else. Perhaps we'd breathe the nitrogen, which there's a lot more nitrogen in our atmosphere than oxygen anyway.
I'm just going to have to say my opinion on this is no.
Almost all plants, as well as the cyanobacteria, produce oxygen as a byproduct of photosynthesis. The exceptions are organisms that use anoxygenetic photosynthesis. They are our bacteria that produce oxygen.
Yes, but not enough as like the Amazon.
Oh, it'll be
Not
if it's
to
all
have-
we got, it'll be enough.
But we're also not talking of anything. No, there's no plants anyway.
Nature finds a way.
I don't know. I would say no.
Let's do one more. Give us one more podism. One more podism.
Chilling in the fringe with Poda.
What if the majority of encounters with incorporeal and half see-through paranormal activity events
Great movie.
were actually due to the person's inability to process the other chemicals and the pheromones from the other people that live in their house, like a cross-contamination of chemicals in intake?
So are you telling me?
What if ghosts were really people you just can't see because your chemicals are wrong?
It's my fart mixing with your burp, and then Poda sees a ghost.
No. I think what he's saying is the actual pheromones is giving us a optical illusion that if we don't mix well with that person's pheromone, then that optical illusion is trying to scare us away from them.
Is that more along the lines of what you're...
Dear God, where did this come up in your mind?
If the
Now can smells cause a poltergeist? Because we've already said wings could. Can smells?
Put my Cheerios too close to an operative toaster, and now my cabinet's slam.
I left the cheese out all night. Now I have ghosts.
I'm not very compatible with you, so I'm going to ghost you right now.
Oh, I think Lee's come to the crux of it.
It's like, girl, you smell like a banshee crawled up there and never left. Is that what you're talking about?
And she takes off her pants.
Well, if you're not into the smell, yeah.
But nobody hears the scream but Poda. He's just like, ah!
Oh, wait. Are we also talking about audible? Visual and audible.
He's talking hallucinations, yeah.
It's your brain processing the information it's taking in chemically.
That's interesting,
and
actually.
orally, and not processing it correctly.
So what? That you can't, the smell of somebody that you can't actively smell, but you know what I mean? It goes into your olfactory receptors. It's like, get away from that chick. She ain't going to be no good.
There was an Outer Limits episode about that very thing.
Dang it, Poda. You take everything from the media.
There was this alien, there were these two aliens and they crashed and they put out, they're ugly and they smell bad and people just can't stand them. They're just the embodiment of horror, but they're not evil they're not evil beings, and they can put out a pheromone that basically suggests to your brain that they're better looking, that they sound good, that they smell good. And so they are fooled into thinking that these are regular people and they get in relationships with them. But after a year of exposure, the human system builds up an immunity to the pheromone and it wears off. They can see these creatures for what they really are.
That sounds like one of those old fables.
And so
where
after 1 year,
Glamour.
the guy freaks out
Because a woman he's in love with is this.
Yeah. Either leaves her or kills himself or goes to an insane asylum, and then she has to move on to the next person.
So that almost sounds like that one thing that Poda always shows me, just different aspects of cultural storytelling, and about the thing where this person falls in love with this creature, loves it, and and then but there's a stipulation. They can't ask a question. What's the stipulation? And they mess it up in the end.
It varies from culture to culture.
The one at the movie that we watched a bunch of, like the Dark Tales or something like that. The one where she's like this dog-like creature from the Ghostbusters. She's like, I told you not to tell anybody.
Oh, there's other things like that. Like there's one like a hog woman or something like that in England, and it was, it could be one of two things. Either I'll be the most beautiful woman ever, but I can never be seen with you, or I look terribly ugly to everyone else except for you, or something like that. It's like a lore thing.
Yeah, what was that? What was the thing though? He said that ask a question.
I think what you're referring to is an episode or an anthology of I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's the same anthology of the Bug Lady, which was a good one.
But it was basically a dude who was going to be killed and eaten by this gargoyle type, archetype creature. Wings, demonic, classic, medieval. And the creature made a deal with it that if you never tell anybody that you saw me, I'll let you live. And he said, fine, sure, okay. Then the next day, he fell in love with this one chick, and they got married, had 2 kids, and he was an artist. And he finally, because he's had this image of this creature in his head for so many years, and he's an artist, he finally sculpted it or painted it or did something. And basically word got out, and she said, you promised you would never tell anybody. And then she turned back into the creature. The children turned into the creatures.
Oh, I remember
and left.
That
Sounds familiar.
But that's also an old tale. Like that's it's one of those like
Tales from the Crypt
Aesop
or something.
tales.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like the stuff like that all around has lore.
Yeah, I think that was the Tales from the Crypt.
Like the fox
Okay.
demons, mermaids.
The Bug Lady. The Bug Lady is amazing. Like, it's basically about these 2 chicks, and one is a complete like entomologist, really into bugs, right? And she starts hanging out with this other chick that she falls in love with, who her father is this admired bug guy, like, top of the line, everybody, and so what happens is they're falling in love, and she wants something to do with her father, and the girl wants everything to do with that girl's father, but they get a package in the mail, and she gets bit by this bug, and it's just crazy. It just goes on from there. Basically, it impregnates her somehow. They kill the dog and put it in a pillow as a nest for her children, and it actually turns her into a bug. The problem was the main bug guy, the guy that's into bugs, sent that thing to go sting and take over the girl that was getting ready to marry his daughter. What it actually did was sting his daughter. So it turned her into this bug creature. It's pretty cool. It actually is a lot cooler if you watch it. I'm horrible.
Well, now we're just talking about like weird creatures and like trying to get back to the initial thing.
I know, we were just having fun.
Talking pheromones and stuff like that. It's kind of like that M. Night Shyamalan, The Happening, where the plants start making these pheromones that make everybody start committing suicide.
I almost forgot about that movie until you just said it. Well, you were like, The Happening. I'm like, sounds familiar.
No, but then it could also be other things.
That's
that
like
could
the
be
red tide
why
kinda.
people have irrational fears. Like you see something and that sparks a chemical reaction that makes you over-exaggerate. And I saw a monster, but really it was the mix of the smell of this fern because you're in the woods and this tree bark, and that's why people in this area always see Bigfoot or, something like that.
I have a thing. There are a few songs that I completely would hate, except I was eating something super yummy the first time I heard it.
Oh yeah, association.
Complete association, and it flips it.
And it could be that same thing. You just get triggered by the slightest hint of a smell of something else.
More blatant.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I'm scared now for some reason. Because when you were little, I don't know, you got hit by a car, but you were smelling peanut butter. And so now anytime you smell peanut butter, you're like, oh, something's going to happen.
Yeah, but that's more of an association. That's not the peanut butter putting off a pheromone, not to eat
But what
it.
if it's the same thing in a spiritual or
Get it, man.
paranormal
Reese's
sense?
fell to pieces.
But what if it's the same thing, but in that sort of paranormal sense?
I mean, where'd you get this idea?
I
That
was just
pheromones.
That's a
could
cool
create-
idea.
I know, but I just want to know if there's a basis. Like, what could be some ideas that a ghost?
I was thinking more along the lines of folklore and the whole technique of glamour when it came to creatures. What if you could explain it more scientifically? If those creatures did in fact exist, would the magic be more scientific? They just didn't understand it.
Oh, like a siren song.
Kind of like what we've just been talking
it
about
could,
there
yeah.
with all that stuff.
It could be more direct to a form of hypnosis.
A manipulation of a person's own chemistry that puts them out of whack and makes them see something or makes them think something or feel something. It's like the scarecrow.
Yeah, but you specifically talking to
Batman.
ghosts. So, like, were you saying that, like, what they were saying, kind of the area itself puts off a lot of different smells and stuff, like, or a pheromone that makes it so that's why some places are haunted and some places aren't?
Well, and haunted by to some people and to some, not to some other people. Your own body chemistry is different per person, so maybe these people have more similar body chemistry. So when you're in a house and you have Cheerios and there's just this kind of mold that's in the walls, to them they're going to see a ghost or something like that. But to somebody else, they're like, I don't think your house is haunted, dude. Like, you're crazy. Like, what are you talking about?
That is a pretty decent idea to think that certain smells or pheromones from different things or different, things that hit your olfactory receptor could actually cause you to see audible and visual hallucinations.
Yeah. Very interesting concept. That was a good one, Poda. Way
So
to
do
go.
you think that the pheromone of death is what causes that thing? Because, you got
Could be.
the Kentucky asylum where a bunch of people died of tuberculosis.
How about instead of the pheromone of death, now this is factual, when you feel anxiety or stress, you do give off a pheromone.
Oh, yeah. Fear.
It's, dogs can smell fear, that kind of thing. That in itself could be the trigger, especially if there were many people who suffered it at the same time.
So that's
and then
why
the-
if there's stuff that happens badly or trauma, you know what I mean? Like
Whereas also-
this house had a family killed, you know what I
So
mean?
instead of it being a psychic emanation, it's merely a chemical
physical.
one.
Yeah.
How
an
long would
actual
that
residue.
last, though? How long can a sense of smell or a pheromone last?
A residue?
Yeah.
It depends. It depends on what is replaced. I mean, if you could slap a thing of paint over it, the smell of that paint would probably, be less than a dead body laying there for 2 months. You know what I mean?
Well, all odors and everything is just a minute amount of the material drifting up into the air to be detected. So as long as there's residue left to emanate,
Oh, actually, which puts the point of most paranormal things in houses come after a remodeling or something. What if it is the smell of fresh paint mixed with the smell of death or something?
What is it? What if it's the smell of you remodeling, you taking apart the old stuff, and that stuff can be put up into the air?
Because it's embedded in the materials of the house
hallucinations
itself.
from lead paint.
No, I'm just saying, like
That doesn't have to be lead paint.
Along the lines of if you rip out a wall, all that stuff comes out into the air. I know, you know what I mean.
And it's been building up over the time that
Yeah.
the other people were in the house or whatever. And then that's when, it struck up.
So-
but after a while, it ceases, it calms down because the smell gently fades away after the remodeling. That's a good...
Could a smell stay on land?
What do you mean?
Like if they say the land is haunted, or this is, you know what I mean?
Oh, now that
Like
would...
with battlefields and stuff. Of course, the anxiety and fear from, like, let's say a Civil War battlefield is going to make it to where, if this is all true, ghosts, we can still see them today because...
Well, the blood soaks into the ground and stuff, and then you have that growing the vegetation.
Exactly. It'd have to soak in and be incorporated, because otherwise soil shifts around too much. It would blow away.
What about the dead bones when you are buried over...
That's why cemeteries?
burial grounds.
It could be. That is a scientific
Tune in next
explanation.
week for the episode of Do Smells Create Ghosts?
Thank you for the very thought-provoking idea. That is
Oh my gosh,
freaking
yes.
excellent, Poda.
Yes,
like,
I
really
think it
awesome.
would be an awesome episode too. We should definitely
We
look
could
into
dive
it.
way deeper
Yes.
into that.
We hope you enjoyed this new episode of Chillin' in the Fringe with Poda. If you tune in next week, you will always be surprised. Say goodbye, fellas.
Goodbye, fellas.
I knew you were going to do that.
I wasn't going to do it. I am hoping you guys would say goodbye also.
I was fighting it.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Peace.